I am a student in your school. I just entered your classroom with the intention to attack your students.
Boom.
So we have number 2 on their paper.
Do I read it or do I do it?
Yep, you just read it.
Okay.
You can do both.
Student who is screaming and crying. I'm a panicking student. I'm shaking and screaming because my brain and body do not know how to respond to my fear.
I am a student who wants to fight the attacker. I am a varsity football player used to taking on big challenges. I think I can tackle the attacker to the ground. Let me at him.
I am a student in shock. My brain has been frozen in fear, unable to move or speak.
So, in a crisis situation, you're going to have the cause of the crisis. In this case, it's a student trying to attack everyone in your classroom. And then on top of that, you're going to have all of your students who are responding differently. So we have the student who's panicking, the student who's in shock, and the student you need to work at your tables and think of how you're going to manage this on top of all these 4 students, on top of everyone else, while keeping your students and yourself safe. Just as a reminder, that's everyone we have. And then we'll come together and take a few minutes to talk, and then we'll come together and share with the group. We can go back. Chat with them.
Like those are have a weapon. Or like something. And I guess the contribution is from attackers that are if I'm just like trying to follow something I mean, it's like your adrenaline high. You're scared, but like you show up like you're giving yourself like something and the adults don't understand.
Probably going to be
One more minute.
All right, let's bring our thoughts back to the entire group. Who would like to share what you would do if you're the teacher in this situation? We're looking for at least 2 groups so we can have different ideas presented for everyone to hear. In the back.
It really depends on whether or not the attacker is armed and what they're armed with, where they're positioned in the classroom. Are they doing it for attention? Are they doing it because they're seriously violent? There's so many factors, you know, you can try to reason with the attacker, but if they're completely given to violence, you can't reason with that. And then you've got the other 3 students, football player, you somehow gotta keep him down with, you know, if the guy's got a gun, you can't move anybody, because if he's truly violent, he'll just pull him away. There's too many factors to really decide until you're there.
And I guess you're right, there is a lot of factors, and that's one of the reasons our scenario was so bad, was because we as teachers, we have to be proactive and we have to be able to prepare for this, but we can't prepare for the specifics. So but we still have to have a game plan. It's still expected of us to be able to protect our students in those situations. And you're right, it's hard because you don't know what you're going to do. Maybe the football player is confident, but he backs out. Maybe the football player is putting himself into danger in a way that's going to affect everyone in the class. You just never know. You could be trying to leave, but then you have that panic student, or the student in shock who can't move. And as a teacher, you have to be able to balance all of this in less than a second to make sure your students are safe. What other response? Or one more group here.
Come on, we heard some good discussion.
We talked about pretty much the same thing, that it completely depends on like what's the situation, but we also said like it's important to, as much as you might be freaking out inside, to stay calm, because then at least you're the person that can maybe handle, like, because the students are going to be all feeling their emotions and showing them, but like the teacher can remain in control and at the best that they can in the moment.
Yep. And staying calm is important too, because our students feed off of us. If we're excited about our topic and our subject, they're more likely to be excited. The same might apply in that, or at least some of our students, where if they see you being calm, they're going to be more likely to stay at least somewhat calm given the situation.
All right, so we're going to talk about, we know that, there is no cookie cutter answer to this. It does depend based on the situation, but what we found from reading how to respond, number one, have a plan and know your district's policy. So every district has a policy for this. Well, they should. And you should definitely know that to know how to respond with your students. Second one is demonstrate appropriate emotions, just like they said. Stay calm. I know it's an emergency situation, but your students will feed off of you, just like Amanda said, and look to you for what to do. And then the third thing, to the best of your ability, keep everyone safe. So also depending on the situations, just like if the football player was going to jeopardize the whole class, try to take care of that and make sure you're trying to keep everyone safe in general.
Can we write these down? Just because, I think these are very important points that you're making here. So it'd be great for us to write these down. It's just another way to help us remember how to respond in these types of situations.
While you're doing that, we'll just talk about what our schools did. In my school, when we practiced these, it always came on as an announcement, Elvis is in the building. And if that ever came up over the intercom, our teachers knew that they had to get us into the designated spot in their room where we all curled up in the corner and had to be completely silent, and we had to stay like that until they told them the announcement came on saying Elvis has left the building.
Yeah, and then at my school, we went into lockdown a lot. They would play this bell. It was kind of like a normal switching classes bell, but it was like a doo-doo-doo. And once you heard that, everyone knew to get to the corner of the classroom. The lights were off, paper over the window, and you were down, silent. And the teachers were really good about this. They would talk to us, but really quietly, and tell us, okay, yeah, we're in a lockdown situation, and try to communicate the best they could of what was going on in our school.
So we want to know, what did your schools do? Did they do anything differently? At least two people. Yeah.
Well, in our school, was in the neighboring school district who we do sports with. There's actually a student from the school and staff and principal and a few other people. So when that happened, our entire school district went into lockdown, and so we had to just stay inside the room. It wasn't as serious as the other school, but we were, someone would always come over there on loudspeaker and say, we're now entering lockdown, you're not allowed to leave anywhere, get to the closest classroom. It didn't matter if you were in the computer lab by yourself, if you were in the bathroom, or where you had to stay in that room until the announcement came on for all clear. And when the stabbing happened in the neighboring school district, I think we were on lockdown for close to 2 hours, so we missed a couple of classes and things like that. But then we just carried on the rest of your day.
Yeah, it's easy to carry on with the rest of your day when it's a neighboring district, which, it's good that it was a neighboring district for the sake of everyone in your school, but yet, if it's not, it's going to change everything you go about that day, because you're going to go from trying to control the crisis, especially if it's in your classroom, to having to comfort your students and comfort the parents and get everyone reunited and talk to the police and everything else before it might first sink in and hit you for what has all happened. One more example. What did your schools do in these situations?
Well, our school had different degrees, there was a different sign or something for each bubble. There was one time where we just had somebody outside of the building that kind of was creeping on us. It was kind of school, so then we just locked the school, and like, you could still go on a day, but nobody could leave or enter the school. And then for like the really severe ones, we just had like a code, like a Mr., I think it was like a color, like Mr. Red or Mr. Green for the office. And then we all knew that that meant that you had to like go and knock down and like just stay quiet.
As you can see, there's a lot of different things schools can do. One of the reasons we can't give you specifics on what you need to do, it's all going to be controlled on what's in your district. And even within your district, it might change from school to school depending on if you would change positions for some reason.
So definitely know your school policy and how to handle that. All right, and then, after the serious crisis, there's a thing called aftershock. So some of the things that can happen is regression in behavior. So like if you teach like younger kids or even our age kids, could be bedwetting, fear of the dark. You're going to be very scared and shocked after that incident. Another one is increase in fear and anxiety. You might be very anxious all the time.
And then increased aggression and frustration. They could be your students can be on a short fuse. Some of this might come just from fear and they don't know how to express that. It could be because they're just angry at what happened. They're angry that they had to go through that. They're angry that their classmates had to go through that. And they don't know what to do with it, so then they just let out their anger and frustration at anyone who's around them. And then all of these plus others can lead to decreased academic performance, because if you've got all these emotions going through you, it's going to be hard to focus, it's going to be hard to sleep. And because of that, their grades could be affected. And even though they're not showing outwardly emotions, the decreased grades in any student could be a sign that either from a crisis response or just that something's going on at home that is distracting them from their regular or how they normally perform. And then finally, we have denial. They don't want to admit that it happened, they just want to move on and pretend that the person was never in the front of the classroom ready to attack or something, because it's just too much to handle.
Yeah, the last point, that I already mentioned, there is no cookie cutter answer, so these are not like specifically exactly what your students are going to do. We're not puzzle pieces and don't fit exactly in a puzzle. That's not how it's going to happen. I mean, you have to react based on what's going on. And, the aftershock might be different for your students, so just to really pick up and realize, help them get through it.
Yeah. Most important thing as a teacher is to be able to recognize these signs in our students no matter what time of year it is, because we never know when they're in a crisis. So what questions do you have for us? Thank you.